Hey, it's Chris. Let's do this roundup this week. Ooh, we get to do top heavy, which means I get to spend a lot of time talking about the two big heavies this week. One's sitting right there. One's also somewhere lost in the neither regions of shipping from CMON, because we're going now back to Cthulhu, still dying. Let's go. You ready? Let's do this. Also, hit me up on Patreon. You know I'm saving you money by talking about this stuff. Don't buy it at retail. Don't back it. You know what? I'm also going to be putting out a little bit more exclusive content there, letting you know a little bit behind the scenes thoughts on some of the crowdfunding projects, picks of the week, those sorts of things. Hit it up in the description down below. That being said, preamble over. Let's do this. It is enormous. Enormity. You know what? I'm going to start here because, like I said in my video, you can check that out from earlier in the week. I'll throw the link up above. But this is a game I am simping for, right? I'm biased. I said in my video straight out at the beginning, right? I have rose-colored glasses when it comes to Aeon Trespass Odyssey. So how does that affect my thoughts on Enormity? And I said this in the comments section to someone else on one of the other videos. I said, okay, look, I was really hyped by this game when I unboxed it. I was also really freaking a little bit down further after I read the rules, and I was like, holy cow, am I going to be able to incorporate this? Holy cow, this is some nuanced stuff. Holy cow, what's going on? And then I played it, and I was like, okay, right, 180 again. So the big question that I'm seeing thrown around already is perceived value. I also saw people complaining in the comment section that they can't afford it, as I talked about in the Lands of Evershade video on whether or not you should buy that yesterday, right? You have people complaining that they can't afford this game if they can't do the stretch pay, and they should be over on GameFound. Folks, if you can't, as a side segue tangent here at the beginning, afford a game without stretch pay, that's a problem. I'm not saying you like stretch pay, I'm saying you can't afford it, right? Difference. Anyway, squirrel, side tangent over. Enormity. This is a boss-ish battling. Don't be fooled by that description, though. It takes an Aeon Trespass style of the roguelike video game mechanic, Metroidvania, if you will, where you go on runs, you die, you rinse, you repeat, you upgrade, you die, you rinse, you repeat, you upgrade, and you just repeat that, only you're doing it as basically spacers, astronauts, in a huge, utterly massive, explorative, open ship that's lost in space that you're going to be trying to find discoveries of. You're going to run into enemies that act like blips from the movie Alien. And you're going to be also, along the way, blurring the lines of the boss battler, because in case you haven't watched any of the video, in case you're interested, it's not I fight the little guys, then I fight the big guy. I fight the little guys, then I fight the big guy. No, the big guy might pop in to your little guy excursions and screw you, or mess with you enough because you went the wrong way, because you chose the wrong thing. There's going to be interaction. There's going to be dynamic over a pseudo 9-round system, as you're taking your 3 actions per character per turn on double-sided action cards, where you get to choose one side of each card for a total of 3 actions every time you go, and then going to the intruder phase. But a lot of your stuff is going to be causing noise. The noise is going to attract blips. Blips are actually face-down tokens that are on the map that are going to move towards you, and you don't know what's moving towards you, how many, and it's going to depend on the section of the round you're in, because there's going to be a white, a red, warning, black, super bad, as you're going along. So the longer you take to complete things, the longer you take to go along things, the more stuff, the more bad stuff, the more crazy stuff is going to get in your way until you find the exit point on the excursion run to get back to the in-between. My big thing on this was there's a lot of potential still in this. I said this in my video, right? Some of the gaps of the forging system, some of the gaps of the full game differences of the cards and the items and the upgrades are not in the prototype. And you can't probably encapsulate all of that in a prototype because the scope is so massive. So the question you have to ask yourself is, how much do I trust them to give me something in that regard that I'm going to enjoy, or that I think that they can do solidly? I said that same thing with Awakened Realms. Do you trust them to put out the thing that you are going to enjoy? Not something that is going to be good. Not something that's going to be good for a reviewer. Not going to something to be good for someone on this side of the camera. For you personally. Because as much as I ever love a game, I talk about this every single time I review something and that I love it, right? I say, I love this. But if you don't like this mechanic, if you don't like this theme, if you don't like this is not for you. Shout it from the rooftops. Don't buy it. Right? Right? Buy stuff that's right for you, not for anybody else. It's what bothers me so many times on those Facebook selling ads or Reddit ads where they're like, so-and-so from so-and-so rated this game a 10 out of 10, a million out of 10,000. And you should buy it from me because they rated it really good. And then you sit back and you go, well, if they rated it that good and you didn't like it, you bought it off of someone's recommendation blind like that. Anyway, okay. But that's the question you have to ask yourself with this one. Do I like the roguelike campaign style of things? I would agree with this. I can't talk about the narrative. The prototype was pretty good though. The easy to get into, I'm not sure that it's going to be as easy to learn rules as what I've got prototype wise. If they do what they did with Aeon Trespass Odyssey though, give you like the sample scenario to literally walk you through the steps of every single piece of the minutia, which was super helpful, it's going to be easier. But it wasn't an easy learn. Even knowing Aeon Trespass Odyssey, it was tough. A lot of errata, a lot of keywords, a lot of stuff that wasn't explainable. So I understand that. I liked the tactical combat though. Boom, one shot, you're dead, enemy. Boom, one shot, you're dead. Oh, stress, adrenaline, throwing tokens, mitigating. I liked it. Again, like I said, right? The question is, what are you willing to pay for too? Standees versus miniatures, right? Here's the debate. I'm team standee. So you know where I fall. So if you're looking at this, maybe you wait if you're team standee though. And that's the big dilemma when I see both of these on campaign pages. So I think my advice going forward for a lot of campaigns is because a lot of people talk a good standee game, but not a lot of people back standees. I say you just do one version and then you put out the simplified version at retail and you just say, you know, you want plastic, get it on crowdfunding. You want cardboard, get it at retail. Support us and buy it in a web shop that way. I kind of feel like almost that way nowadays more than anything else. I had people commenting and I heard some comments in the comment section as well too of the almost 1,200 that are on this Kickstarter page at the time of me filming this. This is too expensive. The value isn't perceived to be good enough. Right? It's under $100, folks, for the core game. It's under $100 for the core game. So this is not out of line with anything that else I've seen on this past year. Again, talking to the person who has looked at the most literal crowdfunding pages on the internet. I will put that out there more than anybody else. I'm going to be in the thousands this year. So this is not out of line. It might not be what you want it to be. You may not want all 4 expansions. Truth is, just like with Lands of Evershade, you don't know if you're going to want all 4 expansions. You buy the core and maybe add it later. Or you know what? You wait until the pledge manager. That's okay. That's okay, folks. You don't have to be a completionist FOMOer. The breakdown, the stretch goals. I mean, I don't know, stretch goals. I stopped guessing sometimes with stretch goals with these. These are pretty spread out, so I have no idea what that's going to be in any regard, if that's truly monetary or not, or now that they've kind of, you know what, like 600, 700,000, if we're going to see this change at all, because these are getting really stretched out further there. So I have no idea. Community stretch goals, comment stretch goals, Board Game Geek stretch goals, all of that stuff. Gameplay add-ons right here. You can get a little bit of extra campaign expansions to go along with this. I have Lands of Evershade in my head for comparison because I just filmed that video prior to this. And, you know, it's an expansion for $30. You get a 100-page narrative, but you get 1 miniature or 1 standee. Okay, I've got new narrative, intruders, boss, suits, gear, locations, everything that is, you know, across the board. So that seems, if you want to make that argument for, you know, less than twice the price, a little bit more in that regard. Is it better? Is it not? I have no idea. And I guess that'd be the thing I'd look at this is how different are some of these? Are we going to see some more actual explanation of, okay, what are the differences? What is the nuance? Sort of like when you saw it with Nemesis, right? They said, okay, this is this alien race. This is what this alien race brings to the table. This is how it's different. And I'd hope to see a little bit more of that with some of the updates going forward, right? I mean, that looks cool, but I don't have a clue. So is it going to be a mechanic that I really, really enjoy? Cosmetic add-ons, you know, again, just like Awakened Realms, just like with some of the CMON stuff, you can do that if you so choose. Expansion sleeves, ooh, I'm not a sleever. So I, you know, again, I wouldn't mind seeing, you know, if I'm going to criticize other people for it, I'm going to criticize them as much as I love them. I want this at the top. This should be the top thing at the page. What is this game? How is it different? All of this stuff that I just said at the beginning of the video. This should just be right at the top so you can tell, right? Here's the gameplay. Here it tells you everything that I kind of mentioned. And I like the zigzagging. I like the runs. I like that because, again, the point I was going to make earlier is I think it's better put up, tear down, that sort of thing, put away get back into, much easier than Aeon Trespass Odyssey. That's probably the nicest thing I would make the argument of. I don't know how this portion of things works. This is the portion of things, one of those potentials I was talking about earlier. The branching points, the symbology, the deciphering, no clue on any of that. We didn't have any of that in the prototype as there. And then you also do have your boss battle fights if you want that. But it's not going to be the main feature like an Aeon Trespass Odyssey or like an Oathsworn. That is what those are offering. I would argue that it's going to be even more boss-centric over in a Grim Coven. That's not what this is giving you. They're branching out from that. So I'd also say that this is not a reskin of Aeon Trespass Odyssey whatsoever if you're worried about that. Or if you're worried that you didn't like Aeon Trespass Odyssey, it's going to have the same boss mechanics in that way, but a lot of it, apart from sometimes the inverted combat paradigm that they talk about there being, you know, doing more damage as you get weaker or more damaged, whether that's you or the boss, that's what it's got going on. This is the grid system that you're going to have flipping through these pages. I love it actually much more so than tiles. It's a space saver, it's a mind saver, and it just works well. So then when it comes down to this at the end, I guess the other thing I have to say here, again, because I think that this should be addressed just like any other campaign, even though I love this, you know, I don't think it's reasonable at all, you know, when I've talked about the other like 1 to 2 year loans on other campaigns, that this is going to be deliverable 1 year from now, right? That just seems way too soon, especially with all this stuff. You know, I have mixed feelings about that, right? Obviously ambitious, obviously not wanting to scare people off, but at the same time, I don't think that's at all going to be the case, especially with all of the expansion content, because for something like this to be ready in a year, you almost have to be hitting the print button within the next like 3 months. And I don't think there's any way, concept, shape, or form that that's going to happen when it comes to this as well. And I hear people saying that, yeah, they have 2 other huge projects that are out there, that one of which is a little behind and you're waiting for. And so for you to spend $300 or $500 again on this one, just like the one we'll talk about in a second, I completely understand people going, yeah, I'm going to wait and see. And I have no qualms about that. I think that makes a heck of a lot of sense too, if you have any concerns. Again, because as I say routinely, right? It's okay not to pledge during the campaign. It's okay to pledge post-campaign. It's okay to pledge for $1. It's okay to go into the pledge manner. It's okay to get it the second time it comes around. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. So that is the majority of the page here. They give you a little bit more of the background and the lore down here at the bottom. I'm sure there's some videos if we scroll down far enough here. Let's see, how far are we? Oh, here we go, actually. There you go. There's everything. Oh, look, there's me. You know, truth be told, I never know if I'm going to end up on these pages, so I never make the assumption either way. So there you go. That is Enormity. Check out my video from earlier this week. Depending on if you guys want it, I would make the argument I could do a should you or should you not back style of things. And I'll, you know, maybe be doing one as well on the next game that we'll be talking about here because, you know what? It's time. Still dying. Let's go to Cthulhu. I'm not sure if this is going to be a whole separate video by itself. It might be now at this point, but it also might be included in the next news video coming in the next couple days after this of what is CMON's shipping situation. There's something like, I don't know, a dozen projects right now that are up in the air. So as much as I freaking want this game, again, you know what? Full, you know, upfront transparency from me. I want this. I'm a previous backer of the 2. I want Godzilla. Is it utterly necessary? Frick no. Should I get it? No. Do I need 37 investigators? Hell no. And the other thing that worries me, just from a mechanical standpoint, because you get to see it right here at the top a little bit, they're adding new skills. So I worry about power creep. What if the next DC United game, for example, all of a sudden said, or the next Marvel United game said that, hey guys, remember those 4 symbols that we've been using in all of the systems up until then? Well, we decided to just give you completely different symbols, but don't worry, they're compatible. Don't worry, it's not going to make your other games obsolete. Don't worry, it's not going to power creep. I don't know with this. This is a complete and utter cluster F unknown. And there's like one Man versus Meeple preview video right now. And I don't think at the time of me filming this, there's a rule book with this. So you're going to get new stuff, insanities, relics, all the cool stuff. But do I need more? Do I like some of these mechanics incorporated? I don't know, because I don't have my freaking game from the last crowdfunding project. So yeah, I'm a little pissed off that you launch a new iteration of the same effing game and you don't have the previous one, because you knew what was going on with that. There's no reason that you had to launch this. And again, as I didn't say, but should have said with Lands of Evershade, not having a rule book sometimes, folks, it's not a bug, it's a feature. Like, I don't care if this gets 3 times the amount that Enormity does, right? Enormity has a tabletop simulator. You can try it out for yourself. You can figure it out. I don't see that with Lands of Evershade. I don't see that with Cthulhu Death May Die. Now, the core of Cthulhu Death May Die is going to be different, but you could make a similarity saying, well, it's not, Enormity being that much different from Aeon Trespass Odyssey, Chris, so you don't really. No, you do, folks. Especially if you're going to give me new mechanics and new all of this stuff, because the new bosses are probably going to have new stuff too, so maybe I don't need this. The other thing I worry about with this, right? You don't buy... Oh, geez. Okay. We'll skip over the other thing I was going to say you don't need to worry about, because, I mean, it's the freaking elephant, or right? Godzilla in the room. Are you going to buy a freaking how much money worth Godzilla? Not the Godzilla that you get as being a previous rewarded backer. Not the one that's going to be given previously at San Diego Comic-Con from this past year. This one right here. But this one. Because it is massive, folks. It is absolutely massive, and it is going to cost you $210. And again, I'll flat out tell you, you'll probably make money on it. You can buy it, regret it, and sell it. Because if it's like the Cthulhu one from the original, people are still buying that on the secondary market for price markup. So you know what? You want to make some money? Go. Liege tip of the week. Liege recommendation to make money on crowdfunding of the week. Go buy 2 of these Godzillas, save them for 2 years, and you'll make $100 or $200. There you go, folks. But if you're not in it for that, and you're not a painter, okay, I love this game. I love Enormity, right? So I'm going to be more critical of the things I think, I love, because that's what you need to do to make sure it's really great for you in that sense. I worry about the unimaginable reward, right? That a lot of the stretch goals, a lot of those aspects of things right down here are just, look at this, investigators for the vast majority, right? If there's anything this game doesn't need more of, it is another box with 25 investigators that are slight variations of each other. That's the CMON thing though, right? That's the exclusive. So I think this is fantastic if this is the one you want to get in on as a 3.0 version. I think that would be a great recommendation. Although I still have concerns about this many projects and, sticks in the fire of when are you going to get this game? Because I believe it says, yes, it says now in July 2026, you will get this, which, if any indication from those previous 2 projects I mentioned, July 2026 is probably a pipe dream, because if they have all those other pokers in the fire, I feel like we're almost turning into a Peterson situation where you're not going to be able to have that many spinning plates, and you're going to actually end up, this is going to be 2027, 2-year free loan, right? Because this isn't just a reskin. This isn't just it's a big miniature, massivature with Godzilla, which is going to add potentially a lot of time to that as well. And here you go. You can get all the other stuff too. You can get the all in, and you can spend like $1,000 on this game to get everything. So if you want to do that, go for it, right? Season 3, Season 4, Season 1, Season 2. Or, you know what? You just get one of the cores at retail right now. You add one of the expansion boxes here. You add the little exclusive Relics Insanity cards here. And you peace out until 2027. Right? Oh, okay. I don't know. Shipping is going to be whatever. It's going to be like $40. So take that for what you will. It's going to be a little bit less if you just get the core, but it's probably what it's going to be. And there's enough shops that are backing this now, so you could probably pay a premium and get it even before the shipping is shipped to backers, because that's what we've even seen with some of the exclusives and the non-exclusives right now with Season 3 and Season 4. But when it's getting to the point of ridiculousness, when I don't feel like some of the updates are giving me as the transparency, it's the transparency, folks. I want this. This is near the top of my wish list right now. Am I going to get it? I'm going to be seriously tempted. This is one of the biggest temptations for me, truth be told, in the last 6 months on crowdfunding. and I don't know what I'm going to do. By the way, I totally filmed this portion all together and somehow the record button didn't click, so I get to do it twice, right? Tales of Arabian Nights 40th Anniversary Edition Play to Z. I think this is like the 3rd or 4th edition of Tales of Arabian Nights. As a choose-your-own adventure, you make an action off of an event card, gather your resource cards up, and complete quests and adventures along the way in order to score 20 victory points to be the first one that wins. As you're adventuring, you have your person on your left and your person on your right, gathering up the narrative and the events and the choices that are going to allow you to figure out what you want to do and how you want to proceed. What's new this time around? Well, you're getting a couple new decks, including a new official solo mode that you can use to upgrade your previous edition if you have it. You're also going to be getting dervishes and merchants as individual, more complete decks to give you more variety and more, well, encounters to go along with things. But you can also get more places of power so that they're not so few and far between, because I guess that was a thing the first time around or the second time around. Not familiar with that aspect. There's the solo mode with 10 solo quests that you can seamlessly integrate. And if you bundle those two together as a returning backer, it's going to cost you less than buying them individually. New terrain deck encounters, so you can keep some of these cards that you otherwise might not have been able to use the first time around when you were traversing. And the day-night cycle is going to be different because it's going to rotate through it quicker and not get you stuck in one portion of things on a round-by-round basis. You get a little mini sculpt and you get acrylic standees to go along with your game board that's going to have a spot UV varnish. So there you go. That's the game, right? Everything else is on the page. This game is, well, out long enough that you can go over to Board Game Geek and everything else you want because, well, there actually isn't a whole lot else on the page. But, you know, that's Tales of Arabian Nights. So plenty of info out there to figure out whether or not it's right for you. Not Enough Mana, $64,000, Spellsmiths and Summoners. This is a drinking game. You want to know how to play it? Too bad. Go to Board Game Geek. Well, not if you're an English reader or an English speaker. Go to their website because that's the only place you're going to find the rulebook easily from that aspect. But this is the expansion deck for it. It's going to give you 55 more cards, one asymmetric character. Because what you're doing essentially is you have a hand of 5 cards. You're going to be playing those cards on a round-by-round basis, trying to, well, Munchkin-esque, be the last one standing, King of the Hill style, take out your opponents. Either they get basically too drunk to be able to play the game, or you knock out all their health. The spells are going to allow you to knock out their health, and the drinking is going to come in because these spells cost mana to play. And how do you get mana? You drink. And so that's what's going on here. Summons, though, are going to cost you your health, so it might speed the game up a little bit in that regard. But obviously you can attack them too and knock them out, and people are going to try and do that, so you have to spend more of your health to, well, knock you out easier. That's the game in a nutshell. Here's some random quotes that are just, I don't know, all over the place, everywhere, right? This game, they said, sold 40,000 copies post-campaign on the retail aspect, so it's a big drinking game on the retail market side of things, and you can bling it out with some decorative stuff if you like. So that is it. That is $64,000 worth of game, and give it a look-see. Then, 52 Realms Adventures, my friends from Postmark Games behind the minds of Voyages and Aquamarine. You know, remember either of those games, print and play, roll and write style? Voyages is actually in the top 2,000 games for a print and play roll and write. That's pretty freaking fantastic. So this is 52 Realms Adventures, using a deck of cards to solo across a dungeon to get to the boss on the other side. Not the chicken on the road, but the dungeon and the boss. And you're utilizing this by drawing cards off the top of the deck that will not only represent your abilities as a one-time use that you will be storing and gathering, your equipment that you will be manipulating in a multi-use way, not only to protect yourself from the enemies that you will encounter in your various rooms, but also to move from place to place using the rank/number that it is in order to achieve the value you need between rooms. Beat the boss, get to the end without getting too many wounds. You draw enemies. Enemies drawn at the same time have reward cards that you can choose in one of 3 different ways to utilize: as a point system to see how many points you can score at the end, or as a replacement for one of your other equipment or abilities that you may be utilizing in that regard. Each suit is going to have its unique asymmetric powers. Along with the enemies will be determined what enemy it is as you're going along. They are not just straightforward. There is a little bit of lookup, so there is going to be variety in the suit and the number/rank based situation. You are playing as several of different asymmetric characters here with abilities to help you navigate the dungeon. And if you want to deluxify it, we go past the video content, you can get a second map with 2 more characters that are included in your pledge in the first place. And again, you're going to look at this and go, Chris, this is only $17,000. $17,000 for a $6 project, folks. That's freaking insane for a print at home game. Boom. Postmark, killing it. Chris out. Then we're going to Nova Roma. Mowgli, the distribution partner over in Europe for Queen Games. And, mixed comments on this one when I was seeing some thoughts on it. Re-implementation and upgraded to 2.0-ish edition for a game that's been out for like a year or less. So I believe the issue was that Stan was self-publishing, and so now that it's got a formal publisher on the larger side of things, they made some quality of life adjustments, including some of the aspects of the deluxifications, as well as the double layer player board, and those aspects that are going to just make it a little bit smoother. It's a Euro optimization, sort of pseudo worker placement-esque vibe with this grid-based system of you placing down your workers, I believe, and then utilizing the actions that are based off of the row and the columns. So they blinged things out a little bit slightly in this way. They made the meeples more colorful, and they gave you more illustrations on the cards instead of just making them all very generic. So rules are out there, gameplay and reviews are out there as well. So everything you need to know from all of the more important people than me can give you their opinions on whether or not it's right for you. But this one's really going to Europe if you're looking for that aspect. So unless I believe you want Marrakesh, I don't think it's shipping to North America. So you might not be actually missing out on the second edition, because you just might not be able to get the second edition. Your first edition is still going to be fine. Even if people have something slightly prettier, you still have yours, and it's not going to take away from your joy. Don't let them steal your joy. Then we're going to Viking Route from Ares Games. Yeah, Viking, and the Ragnarok avoidance essentially game. You have a 5-linked campaign scenario driven system, or a free-for-all Ragnarok mode where you can mix and match the objectives and the missions and the goals in order to create your own just compilation of whatever it may be, and rinse and repeat for variability's sake. But you're going to be using a magnetized system to help the ship navigate via the use of like crows or ravens actually, not crows, right? Two distinct things. And you're going to be having a miniature based deluxe pledge if you're interested in getting it on crowdfunding, with these navigational tools as you're basically moving your ship across the sea, as well as running into land or trying to avoid the edge of the world as well, because you're going to be trying to complete specific, unique scenario-based objectives or defeat the big bad, depending on which one it is. The action system that you'll be taking and utilizing is actually a very similar Pandemic style, where you have 3 actions per turn of the 4 vague actions as a whole: move, attack, utilize the ship, or move your character around to one of the special positions on the ship, I believe of which there are 6, which are all going to have asymmetric actions to behoove you, including manipulating the sails as well as the tiller to affect the boat being moved across the sea while you're trying to fend off enemies that are going to attack it in the meantime. A Viking dies, your ship loses all its health, or you can't complete it within the time-based scenario system, you're going to lose. Otherwise, complete the objectives to win. That is the game in a nutshell. They have a few previews down here. We've got a full 28-page rulebook. You want the deluxified pledge, $65. You want the base pledge without the miniatures, it's going to cost you $55. That's it. That is Viking Route from Ares using a magnetized navigation system. Give it a look-see. There you go. There you go. That's the end of it, right? I wasn't kidding. A lot shorter this week, a lot less games. And for once, like in the last 3 or 4 weeks, for the first time, I'm not talking about 20 games for over an hour. And not that I, necessarily made this one that much shorter, because, got to throw in a lot of opinions on the first 2 because it's a top-heavy week, like I said at the beginning. But that's what's fun. I like talking about board games, right? I like talking about board games. I like helping people get the right board games for themselves, right? It's always fun when I get accused of hating stuff because the fanboys come out because I attack their game. I got a few of those from, yesterday's video on Lands of Evershade. And I said, I'm not hating on the game. I'm saying when you're looking at any of these triple-digit price points, let's be very critical, even of the things we love, like I did in this video. So, you know what? The bottom line is, do what works for you. That's all I got. I got robotics and soccer this weekend, indoor futsal mixed with robotics. So it's a full weekend. And I have a few reviews coming out next week. I'll be talking about The Waste of Parts, which is currently going to be ending its crowdfunding run. I have Star Trek, the captain's chair behind me, for a couple of cute, commenters who saw that sitting there. That is filmed and just needs to be edited, as well as some tier ranking of games and projects and things like that. And my predictions for best of 2024 predictions, right? Ooh, there are going to be some strong predictions. So tune in, buckle up. As well as maybe at the beginning of the week, a new news video. Something's probably not going to fit in all those days. I probably listed too many different types of videos there, but we'll see where it goes and what makes the cut. So, have a great freaking weekend. Play something fun, or hopefully you're just not working. Have a great day. Peace out.